Take heart, my friend, we'll go together this uncertain road that lies ahead.
Welcome to Take Heart, where we are exploring current human experiences that either display or call for biblical truth. I'm Ruben Martinez, your host. Today I have Edgar with me. Edgar, you have had a rough growing up. It was a rough with your mom and your dad, and then rough with uncles and anger issues and kind of lostness, a lot of anxiety. And then somehow something has changed here recently that has just made a big difference. And so that's what I would like to hear. If you can just kind of run us through some of your background and where you were and then what happened.
It's been hard, ever since, I don't know, probably at the starting of the age, probably 15 when I got kicked out from my grandma's house, and then I got sent to Mexico.
Why were you kicked out?
Because my mom and my stepdad were always fighting. So, and my mom's like, well, I got somewhere to go, but you got nowhere to go. Might as well go with your dad.
Mm-hmm.
So she dropped me off in Mexico without my birth certificate because I don't have my passport, expecting me not to be able to cross back. So I was there for a few months with my dad, and I just literally my whole everything I knew changed to just being in Mexico. There was no more school. There was no more I guess my friends and stuff like that.
What about language? Were you able to understand?
Yeah. I mean, I always knew a little bit of Spanish, right?
Okay.
But it was still kind of hard to pick it back up.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just from one place to just a whole another world.
Totally, completely different.
I mean, that changed from there, and ever since then,
And you were 15. What were you working? Did they have you work? You said no school.
I mean, I was just there because my dad had a barbershop, and I would just hang around there and just pick up little things here and there, do errands, or just see how other people my age at 15 lived in Mexico, and they did a lot of bad things here and there. So I witnessed a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. You said you were a few months there, and what happened that you stopped being there? You got...
Yeah, I guess my dad was one day, well, he always mentioned that he's you need to go back to school, finish school, because I don't want you in this life, there's no future in this. And I was but I kind of since I was scared to go back because I already knew my mom was going to try to kick me back to my dad. And so, I mean, my dad's well, I know your uncle will want you, could take you to I don't know, somebody, a family member that might want to take you in which that happened a few weeks after he mentioned that. A family friend from my uncle was willing to take me back. I mean, to the United States. I mean, I'm a U.S. citizen, so
Right.
They had to they just told me, "Where's your papers?" I'm I don't know, I forgot them, and then I'm okay, your name is, and I gave them my name, and they just crossed me back, so I remember I had all my clothes in trash bags, and I remember my stepbrother, he was at golf practice, and they were you want us to drop you off here at the school with your clothes and trash bags? And I'm I mean,
wow.
I have no other choice, right? So I remember there were there were a bunch of kids just there, with just witnessing this, what's going on, and I mean, I was just kind of happy just to see my stepbrother. It's been a few months, and
This was your younger stepbrother?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he was excited to see me, but I mean, a lot of things that I never talked about, happened. And I mean, it was just okay, what I do from now? I got my clothes in the trash bags. Is my mom gonna kick me back to Mexico, with my dad, or
Wow. But your dad picked you, or your uncle picked you up from the school?
Yeah, because they dropped me off, and
You mean your dad dropped you off?
the friend,
Okay.
the friend that brought me to like that was willing to give me a ride, like she dropped me off there at my uncle's, and my uncle's like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "Well, just take me over there to my stepbrother," because I called him on I called him on his phone. He's like, "Yeah, just come over here. Like, we'll go with my dad, and then your mom's there." So like, I mean, I didn't tell him to mention that you're there, but see what she says when you show up. I mean, and from there, getting dropped off at the school, and then get all my clothes in the trash bags, and going to see my mom. And I still remember to the look of her face, like she was mad. She was mad that I was here, and I remember she was cutting some vegetables, and she was like, "Shit, can I talk to you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like she didn't even say hello, like welcome, and like anything like that. She just said, "Can I talk to you?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "I can't do this. Like you have to go back to Mexico."
My.
So like that was the plan. That she's like, "You could spend the night, but the next day I'm just gonna take you back to your uncle's. You better call him, and you're going back to Mexico, because like as it is, me and your stepdad are still fighting, and
Wow.
yeah." And that's what happened. I mean, but my uncle I told him the situation, and he's like, do you want somewhere else to go? Like, do you have a family member? I'm like, well, I really don't have anybody. He's like,
My dad said you're the family member that
yeah.
would take me.
Then he's all like, well, if you
Wow.
want, you could stay with me. And I mean, I stayed with him all the way till I was 19. Learned a lot of things here and there.
And your dad lived in the States?
No, he lived in Reynosa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you were still in Mexico then? I mean, when you came back, you didn't come into the States. You stayed in Mexico and Reynosa.
No, I like when I hear my mom, she was over like somewhere like in far, and like so I was over there, and my uncle was somewhere in Hidalgo, so I just got dropped off. Like my mom just dropped me off in Hidalgo there.
Hidalgo is a border town
Yeah.
that crosses into
No,
Mexico.
Hidalgo.
Hidalgo, but it's on this side of the
Yeah,
states.
it's in this side of the states.
But it's a border town.
Oh yeah, right,
Yeah,
right, real
yeah.
close to the border. So yeah, so I mean, and he's like, "If you want, you can stay with me," and I mean, I stayed with him.
Wow. And you were there till you were 19.
Yeah, 19, and there was like my mom, like we lost touch in between the time from like 15 to 19, but like every chance that she came into my life, like always wanted to go back with her, because I grew up with her, so like that's all I knew, like her. And I remember the first time that I did, it was already like I was 17 or so. I know I hurt my uncle. I never seen him like actually hurt. When I just the next day I just got all my stuff without even telling him, and just was like at the very last minute I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go back with my mom." He's like, "I come like whoa, like what's going on?" Like
He didn't understand.
yeah, he didn't understand, and just because that's all I knew was my mom. And then I mean,
So at that point, you went back to your mom.
I did for just like a very few days, and then they got back in a fight, and then I had to go back to my uncle's, and he was just like, so I'm over here looking stupid, like not like, and I'm just like, now I realize, I'm like, man, like I was a mess.
Profound hurt.
Like I hurt, like I don't know that I at the time didn't think my actions had consequences to them.
So you went back with your dad, with your uncle, and then
I stayed there and
for 2 years.
yeah.
And then after those 2 years, what was there any development there, either towards good or bad, or is just the same?
I mean, I don't know, like I did a lot of things, like I crashed a car and stuff like that. Things that, a kid probably somewhere in their life, like, hopefully not, right? But experience, but did a lot of bad things just to like, I don't know, try to suppress my feelings, try to avoid the truth, like within myself, like try to avoid it.
During that time, did you get into like a lot of alcohol or drugs or no? Or those, what were
No.
those years like?
Yeah, I mean, I always drank like alcohol, but like I always like I mean, there was a lot of depression. Like I always like even when I drank, I always tend to like when there were my uncle would have like parties here and there or barbecues, I would always just grab a few beers and just go to my room and just stay there, not socialize with family and stuff like that. And I always saw it as normal, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it. But
Be by yourself and
And,
not bother anybody, nobody
yeah,
bother you.
no bother. Yeah, exactly. And then when my uncle would come in my room and be like, "What's going on? Like, why are you in here? Like, we're all having fun. They're asking about you." I'm like, I just want to be left alone, you know. And I guess I fell into depression, and I just went downhill, and I just felt like everybody was just against me. Yes.
At some point, you left your uncle's.
Yeah, because I started working in construction.
Uh-huh.
But I left my uncle's because I already kind of felt like I was a bother to them. And my sister was willing to offer me a job during the summer when I graduated high school in construction. So I was like, okay, this is my chance to finally get out of here because I'm already, like, I feel like I'm just bothering them. Like, they don't even know how, like, it's more me, like, that doesn't really want to talk to them. And I don't know why. Like, they never did anything to me. And I just felt like I'm just a burden. Is there just, you know, like.
Right. And it's understandable you felt that way if your mom basically had you leave and then your dad wouldn't have you
Yeah.
either. Like, I am a bother. This is my nature. You know, so even without your uncle doing anything wrong, it's very understandable that you felt that way.
Yeah, and then, I mean, a lot of things were said about, like, my dad when I would go visit him. Like, he was always excited to see me, and then it started changing to where he wasn't excited. He was more like, why are you here? Like, to come visit me? Because I would go on the weekends after high. Like, as soon as, like, Friday would hit, like I'll be excited to go see him. And he'd be like, it started changing to from being happy to see me to, why are you here? Or, like, even when I would buy him, like, a 6-pack of beer, just to, like, you know, just to, like, hang out. He'd be like, did you buy the beer for me or for you? And just those things that, like, little things that I try to do, like, just I got shot down. It's like, you know, I was just disappointed, like, in myself. I'm like, am I not good enough? Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, my friends wanted to hang out, but I come to see you, and this is what I get. Like, and one day my dad told me, like, I see you more. Like, I remember we were kind of having an argument, and he told me, like, I see you more as my friend than my son. And then he said that around, like, other friends there of his, and ever since then I never saw him the same. Because I mean,
That hurt.
yeah, that hurt.
More hurt.
Yeah.
My goodness. So after some time, you were there with your uncle, and then you left because one of your sisters offered you a
Yeah.
job, a construction job. Was that the summer or during the school? Or
That was the when I graduated. That was going to the
I see.
summer. Yeah.
Okay. So
And-
you were 19 at that point. You graduated 19 out of high school. You went to work that summer.
Yeah. I mean, when I went over there, I mean, the money was good and everything, right? But I started to realize that I really don't socialize with others, like men or people my age, like, and they would just, like, kind of just pick on me here and there because I wouldn't talk, or just to, like, try to join them. And I started seeing that, like, people don't really like me. And I'm just like, you know, like, what, like, I mean, if they don't like me as it is, I mean, why even try?
At some point, you felt like you were being used, or was it like they treated you the same? What was the relationship like? What were the dynamics?
With, like, the men,
Because you were working
yeah,
with them.
yeah, because we were like a squad, like, right? And like, let's say like they say, hey, we gotta go dig a few holes over there, like by a frack or something like that. And they're like, okay. And they were like, yeah, let's take Edgar, like me, to like just to say they do it. I mean, they would just joke around saying like he's just over there, like just standing around, not doing anything as it is. I mean, he never does anything. I'm just there, like
You'd hear those comments.
yeah, I just hear those things. And I'm just like, all right. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it would bother me like
And you stayed for them for a year, 2 years,
like half a year,
half 6 months,
yeah, around
Okay.
there.
and then when
I mean, COVID hit.
COVID hit, so they had
And,
to you couldn't
yeah.
work.
Well, they didn't cut work. I was just like scared to get it because I have asthma. So I was like, and I thought it was gonna happen like the Ebola, like where they were gonna have to like, you know. So I was just like, okay, like this is my chance to like kind of get out of here. I left without really saying anything.
Mm-hmm. And at that point, you at one point you realized you had a lot of anger.
Yeah.
And what you did, were you already sensing that, or were still like you weren't aware of that, or?
No, I already had a feeling that I was holding like all the anger that I've just held in, just kept building up, and since I would never like I don't know, like cry about it or just like, you know,
Just hold it in, hold
yeah,
it
I
in,
just
hold
kept
it in.
bottling it in, and like it just, instead of like really to just hatred towards everybody.
Mm. Mm.
And then when I you know, quit and I moved out and I was actually on my own, I started to just, like, it's in my room, I guess, just there like by myself, starting I just hate everyone as it is, like people that I don't even know, just push everybody away.
Mm.
Because I felt like everybody was against me. Like, guess how the people in construction like didn't even know me, and they already like picked on me here and there, and like, and I felt like that was for my like with my parents, like those were my parents, and they, you know. So I'm like, if that's my parents and people that don't even know me already don't like me, it must be like that with everybody.
So you developed, I want to say you developed a certain hatred towards life itself.
Yeah.
You hated everybody.
Yeah.
If we can go back a little bit
Mm-hmm.
to more specific experiences that you had with your mom, because you had mentioned that, okay, she and your stepdad fought a lot.
Oh yeah.
Are there other experiences that you can share that were like either embarrassing or
Oh,
painful for you?
Yeah, I mean, it would be a shame. Like, it was always like, just like they would always fight, like every time, like they were like, ever since they got together, right? They were happy at the beginning, and that was when I was like probably like in third grade. And even so, like even there, like they were happy for like probably like the few stages, like I guess, of their relationship. And that she started seeing like the real colors of themselves. But my mom needed somebody to take care of her because she was like, she didn't want to work or whatever her situation was, right? And my stepdad was willing to provide that for her, but he wanted a wife or whatever the case is, right? So it was just a toxic relationship. And since he already had 2 kids, and my mom had 3 of us, like and they were living in my grandpa's house. Every time they would fight, my mom would kick my stepbrother, his sister, and my stepdad out in the middle of the night. And this would happen like twice a week, 3 times.
Wow.
And it was sad because we had school the very next day.
Wow.
So like
Your
that,
life was chaos.
and yeah, like we would like, since my room was right next to theirs, we would hear everything. Everything. They would like be fighting, yelling, calling the cops. It got embarrassing because the cops even, they're like, oh, we're here again. Like we even heard comments like that. Like the neighbors were just be outside, like just there in the middle of the night, just looking. And I'm like, this is embarrassing, like honestly.
Was your stepdad into alcohol or drug?
Yeah.
Was your mom into alcohol or drugs? Or
Oh, my mom was, she liked the drugs. My stepdad liked to drink. So I have two combinations, and then, oh man.
what a mess! What a mess! Was there any other thing going on that also feel like you wounded you? The only reason I'm asking is so that others can maybe identify, because maybe they're going through the same thing, or have gone through the same thing, and they don't know, how to deal with it, or is anybody else gone through this? Maybe they feel alone, and that's why I'm asking you to share some of those things. It was bad enough that your mom asked you to leave, threw you out. Basically, your dad also. You felt alone, singled out. You stuffed everything in, and now I'm hearing, your stepdad would drink a lot of alcohol. They would fight a lot. Your mom would do drugs. My goodness! Wow. That you even survived all that. Amazing.
No, man.
So you stuffed it in, and then from there, what happened? I mean, you were working with construction, and then COVID hit, and you were concerned because you have asthma, and then I guess you couldn't work with them
Yeah.
anymore, and then what?
I mean, I started picking jobs here and there, like to like pay my rent and like live a little, I guess, like, on gas and like necessities. And I worked a lot of jobs, like from factories to pizza delivery to sales. And every time, like, I would see how people actually are, and I felt like people just never took me seriously. As more as I tried to like be friends with people, I guess, to like people that were going through a little bit of the same thing, like that felt like they were the ones that were always left out. I started seeing like betrayals, even with me, like they betrayed me, like for their own good, to like, I don't know, like single, like, yeah, I don't know, just for themselves, like, like they would be like for instance, like we're at pizza deliveries, they'll be like, oh well, like it was my turn or such, but they tipped like a good amount, so they'd be like, oh, I'm gonna take that one. And I'm like,
I see right through that.
yeah, I was just like, okay, well, I mean, what could I do? I mean, I was just like, okay, I might as well like just let them, right?
Yeah.
And I started seeing like more, like I'm like, okay, so I'm actually on my own, right? And I started seeing it from other people, like, yes, in general, like, yes, even like people that are supposed to be my friends do the same thing too. And I'm like, I'm over here being real with them, and they're doing that, like, so I started having more hatred.
And with that hatred, more isolation,
More, yeah. I started
withdrawing more.
I started just backing up, like, from everybody.
And at some point, something happened that changed. What
Yeah.
was it that?
Oh, it took me a very long time. It took me. I mean, I did get into like drugs. I mean, yes, and not like drinking. But like, I would come home and just be in my restroom, just there. Like, and I guess I would like smoke some weed, or drop some acid or so, and just be there like by myself. Whereas just I knew it wasn't right. I knew something was like, not right. Like, I would stay in the restroom for like my apartment, my bathroom, right? I would stay there for hours, and I would just be listening to like music, but to the point that I wasn't even listening to the music. I was just in deep thought with myself, and I wanted to change, but I didn't know how. And I would like And then, yeah, I would just sit there for hours, like hours, and just smoke or drink or just do drugs. And
And you did this over and
yeah, every
over and
day
over.
until like I was just like, tired of it. Like, so I stopped letting go of just like by smoking. I started letting go. That was the first thing, right? Letting go of smoking because I'm like, I'm wasting my money on it and it's not doing any good. Like, I feel like I'm wasting my life on this. Like,
Mm.
this holds so much like value to me.
Mm.
Like, am I so weak to this? Like, and I started just getting tired of being myself.
Mm.
Like, I wanted to like just escape my own reality and jump into somebody else's shoes, just like to just get a taste of something different.
Mm.
And I always kind of knew about religion, but I never like cared for it. I never, I'm like, if forgive me, but I'm like, if God loves us so much, why am I feeling like this? Like,
Mm.
and I'm like, this is not right. And this isn't. And I was just so selfish, I guess, in my sense of where I'm like, I never thought that God was with me every step of the way.
Mm. And you know, Edgar,
Mm,
God wants the truth. So if we have questions about God,
mm,
He wants us to ask those questions. Okay, if God loves me so much, why am I here? I
yeah.
mean, that was an honest question from your heart,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what God wants from all of us. So something happened when you start with truth down at the very
Mm,
bottom, because from there, then what happened?
yeah. I mean, there was already a few months like from that, right? But ever since I finally started like changing, like letting go of that, and like I started actually like socializing more, like with people, right? Just taking a step at a time, because
Mm.
I mean, I would fail and I'm like, oh, and I would go back a little bit back and I'm like, I can't be doing that. Why am I'm trying to go forward, but these obstacles are in my way and I'm trying, and it's pushing me back. I'm like, no, like, that's not the way it is supposed to be. Like,
Mm.
even though, because we're going to fail upon these things, these journeys that we take. And I don't know, one day, and I should have written it down. I still kick myself for not writing it down. One day I just, from doing little steps by step, I just decided to, I don't know what it was, I just changed. And I still regret not writing that day down, but where I found the light, when I was just like, I finally let all that hatred, like, I don't know what it was because I never really cried about it.
Mm.
I finally let it go,
Mm.
where I could finally breathe and just, I mean, I'm not saying, things are easy, but
Right,
I
right.
finally don't hate the world. I finally now actually have peace. Like, I don't blame anybody, and I let go of people that hurt me, and like, I'll say hi to them or whatever the case is, and I see that they're going through something, so they don't say hi to me, or they look the other way, or just from my presence, they just, that I've changed or whatever the case is. Like, for them, in their eyes, they don't want to see that.
I'm wondering,
Mm-hmm.
was there at that point when you let go that day that you didn't write down,
Yeah.
was there something like music or a conversation or a book or something that came to your mind? I'm not talking about that very day, but somewhere around that time, was there something going on, something that you remembered?
It was that one where, where I don't know where it says in the Bible. I don't want to know neither, because I want to, I'm gonna find it on my own, right? But I remember my sister told me, she thought like, God never said it was gonna be easy, but He promised to be there every step of the way with us.
Mm.
And and I'm like, it's true. I mean, it's not easy.
Right. But that came to your mind.
Yeah.
Something that one of your sisters told you,
Yeah.
hey, God said He's going to be with you.
Yeah.
And that was around that time that things changed.
Yeah, where I started like, I just started like, I wanted the change to happen, and for the longest time I wanted to change. I started taking these steps, and one day I just woke up and just, that like a few days when she told me that, it just, I don't know, like everything changed. I don't know.
It's interesting that, you talk about your mom saying, look, I don't want you, basically. Your dad saying, I don't want you. And what comes to your mind or what was told to you is that God is not going to leave you.
Yeah, basically that. Yeah, that.
And so that, like, apparently is what the foundation of you changing. Saying, okay, there's the hope. He's not going to abandon me like my mom or my dad or my uncle or whatever. Now, you had said something that you had heard about religion and so forth. Tell me a little bit about that. You had gone to church as a little boy. Somebody had talked to you about the Bible, or
Well, yeah. I mean, I saw like a lot of people that consider themselves like, religious, this and that, and then yet they would like do opposite things what a religious person would do.
And you saw that growing up, or just
just like with family members, even my own dad. Like he's like he would pray before he eats, but yet like he's over here doing a bunch of bad things. So I always thought like like these people like consider themselves religious, but yet they're over here doing all these things. So I'm like, so if they're doing that, like, where's God? Like, like, why is He not putting a stop to it? That's what I always thought, like, and I'm like, maybe, forgive me, but I'm like, maybe He isn't real, because I mean, everybody's like doing their own thing.
You're right. Anyway,
Yeah,
maybe there's no God.
yeah, that's what I thought, like,
Yeah, and that's an honest assessment as a young man. Like, like that's the only conclusion you can come up with. And again, this is very important. God wants the truth. And okay, you have questions, you have doubts, you got to be honest about it. God is not going to be thrown off, And so, that went on, and obviously, when your sister told you this, it's like, okay, that triggered something or encouraged you to move in a path where I do need to let go of this, and I need to move in this path. Now, once you started in that path, what happened that kept you going? Like, because you heard it, you started making those changes, letting go of the drugs or whatever, and moving in this other path. But what has kept you going?
Oh, I've been reading the Bible, like the treasures within the Bible. I just like actually speaks the truth, and I just jumped into it randomly, just because I mean I never even knew what verses were and this and that, right? And I just opened the Bible one day that was gifted to me, and I started reading into the Proverbs, and from everything, it was weird. It was such a coincidence, because everything that I had questions like about, like it was speaking there, and it was answering my questions.
Wow.
So like I was just like, this happened a very long time ago, but yeah, it's still happening today. Like,
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, like I felt like I was lost, and this is like speaking to me, and just my whole perspective changed.
You mentioned that you were gifted this Bible.
Yeah.
How long from the time that you were gifted this Bible to they actually open it up? And
like probably like a year or so. Like more
okay,
than that,
so for a whole year you said okay, it's there.
Yeah, it caught dust and everything. I'm like, man, like I put it under the table and everything, like just there in the shadows, like it was just there. But I never actually like put it away. Like, it was just there. And it doesn't take anything. It just takes a very few seconds just to open it up. And anywhere you could find treasures, right? But yeah, like, I just don't know. Like, some people just don't want to do it.
Like, you didn't want to do it.
I didn't want, yeah, exactly. So I'm like, yeah, I don't, that's why I don't even, you know.
Wow. So you started reading the Proverbs, and
Yeah.
a lot of answers were coming to you.
Yeah.
What else happened? Is it just been the Bible that?
I started actually, like, making friends at work. Friends that I could consider friends, even though they're not so religious, this and that, but I actually feel there's a connection on, like, because, like, when you have a friend that you actually have a connection with, like they feed you and you feed them, like,
You begin to share your heart.
Yeah,
You begin
yeah.
to share where you're at.
and I just started experiencing that actually now, and it's like kind of like a warm feeling that I've never gotten from, like, people like my family. So like, well, like, they probably have, but I probably never even like I guess more my parents, right? Now I actually feel that there's a connection, like, and it's heartwarming, like. Yeah, I'm like, I just, thanks to the Lord that, like, like, yeah, He changed the way I was, because I probably would have never, like, met people and that cared for me, or would even have thought about talking to me.
So, growing up, you did go to church at some point, but
Yeah,
you saw a lot of hypocrisy.
Yeah, a lot of.
And then obviously you stopped going for years and years. And then now recently you picked up the Bible and you're seeing a lot of answers. You're getting a lot of encouragement. You're making friends. Are you back at church?
Like, I'm attending church. The only thing is that I try to attend it every Wednesday and Saturday. And Sunday, my bad. But, like, I still attend everything, but I don't even, I feel so drained sometimes, like, from working 2 jobs, and it just, the 60 hours I put a week, sometimes it's just stressful.
So you got 2 jobs.
Yeah. So, in between those jobs, I have friends, and, like, in those jobs. So, and just the things I could share with them, the truth, encourages me. Like, it feeds me. And I try to get fed by the Bible, so I get to share more with them and what I learn at church.
You feel like you're learning at church.
I feel like I'm actually, like, learning the truth, like, within life.
That's great. That's great. If I was to, a year, 2 years, 5 years from now, what would you like to see happen?
For sure, get a better understanding of my emotions. I'll tell you that. Like, or even though I'm having a bad day, just throw that out the window. Like, I say, oh, I woke up late, this and that. It doesn't have to be a bad day. Like, or I actually have control over no, like, I know the Lord controls me, right? But I guess in, like, actually just letting go of everything that I know and just entrusting in the Lord.
Yeah, there's something about gaining understanding, gaining understanding of self, gaining understanding of people, gaining understanding with our relationship with God, that kind of stabilizes us with our emotions, with our life, the more we understand. And so you're headed in the right path, since you're getting all this, understanding from the scriptures. There's a proverb that says, a man who is slow to anger has great understanding. So, because, kind of like you said mentioned earlier, okay, well, people say this or that, or maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they're going through rejection or whatever, and they're on edge. To understand that, we don't have to take it personal.
Yeah.
I don't have to respond in anger.
Yeah.
Because, wait a minute, there's now more understanding, at least asking the right questions about other people. And so that's what I see. I'm understanding as you talk.
Yeah, that's where, like, lately I've been experiencing that a lot, because sometimes I let since I'm having, like, it's the times I wake up is super early for my first job, that everybody's everywhere in their own mind,
Mm-hmm.
and I stand back and just like see how, like, just hear the conversation that they're having, and it sounds like blabberish, like there's no truth in what they're saying,
Mm-hmm.
and I stay away from that because I don't want to lose myself again, right?
Right.
And I don't want to be also caught up in their conversations because it's gonna affect me and what I know, like, of the Lord, and I'm like, I rather stay away or just avoid the confrontation from with them.
Right. Especially if you sense that it's just
Yeah,
lies or it's not
yeah.
truth or their
They're trying to,
perspective is
yeah,
off.
they're trying to put up something that they're not, like something
Mm.
like a persona or.
Mm.
And actually, when I'm with my friends, I'm actually like, I tell them, like, I want to know, like, how they're feeling, like,
Mm-hmm.
their feelings, what they're going inside. Because, I mean, I was like that at one point, you know, like,
Isn't that amazing that your very experiences then, when God gets a hold of you, can actually help you understand where other people are at?
yeah,
And so now you're able to kind of wait for the right moment or say what needs to be
yeah,
said because you understand them.
yeah, like, you know, like, there's a lot of, like, even today, like, yesterday, there was a girl that was cussing me a lot, this and that, but like, every time I seen her, like, she never usually does that, right? Like, she's always real calm or real
Mm.
happy.
Mm.
But like lately, like, which I didn't tell her yesterday because I'm like, I don't want her to spaz out on me, right? So today I saw her, she was actually calm, and I was like, you know, are you okay today? Like, I mean, I didn't mean to start her, you know, like, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm fine. She's like, why? I'm like, well, because yesterday, I mean, I didn't mean to. I mean, I couldn't help over here, but I was literally by your feet getting boxes out, like I couldn't, and you were just losing yourself, right? Oh, she's like, no, yeah, I'm okay. She's like, you know, just some days you're not yourself, and she's like, I don't know what you mean. I'm like, okay, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna let it be because maybe she's going through something, and I don't know her, and I don't want her just to be like, well, I don't know who you are. Why do I have to share? I'm like, I'm just gonna let it be. If she starts like doing that again, tell her the same thing again. Like, hey, you okay? Like, you don't have to be alone, you know?
Right. Right. And you can be honest about where you're
Yeah,
at.
yeah,
Because I wasn't honest.
yeah,
I wasn't aware of so much. I stuffed it in, and shared with no one. But that's not the way to go.
yeah,
Without saying it, that's what you're communicating
exactly.
with her to say, okay, right time when she's more open, and then maybe share something like that with
Yeah, I
her.
mean, I mean, it's not even about like the pride or anything, because maybe she has some pride because she doesn't want to like share, which is okay, right? You know?
Pride or fear
Yeah,
that she's going to be rejected.
exactly,
If I say the truth, I'm going to be rejected.
exactly.
You know?
So that's why I'm like, I don't know anything about her, but like that's why I don't want to like push myself too much because then they'll be like, hey, like I don't know who you are, like, and I'm like, but the only thing is that I see that, like, and I see myself a little bit in her, like I used to be in her situation, so. So like I'm just gonna be patient with it. I mean, there's a lot of people my age and stuff. So like, it's not even her. Like there's so many people, and just like, all right, where is everybody at? Like, how is the Lord like helping them out and stuff like that?
And how is the Lord going to use you in their
Yeah,
lives? That you know that if you try to push yourself on them, that's not going to work.
yeah,
Because at some point, probably you experience people trying to push themselves on you,
yeah.
and it's like,
Exactly. That's why I'm like, I know. That's why I'm like, I can't be pushing because people push themselves and it
not
didn't work
work.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And yet at the right time,
Mm-hmm.
when God got a hold of you, now you're open. Now you want input.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't socialize that much with people because I don't want to get into their, and like, unless like it's actually like people that know the truth, but people that they're just running, like one of my coworkers says, like a chicken without their head, like running around just, just crazy. Like, and I see that a lot. Like they're just doing things without even thinking about it. And I'm like, you can't, like, that's not how it works. Like, because when are they actually real with themselves, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, people so much of the time are just trying to survive the day.
Yeah.
Just survive. No sense of why things are happening. They just want to survive. that's no way to live, but that's all they have. And so I want to go back when you mentioned, okay, one of the things that happened that started you in this path is when one of your sisters told you, hey, God will never leave you. Since then, has there been a development between you and God? What
No, yeah, I mean, besides like me, like, I mean, I pray every morning and every night. But lately I've been seeing things, like good things, like, I mean, I get up every day, have the strength to like do 12 to 13 hour shifts a day. Just things like that, like, and just, I guess, besides letting go of everything, of all the hatred, like, that I had towards people, and now I actually want to, like, socialize a little bit more, like, with people, just to see what
And in that
happens.
socialization, I would guess that it's not just about socializing, but you want to actually help them.
Yeah.
Because I remember you mentioned sometimes back that even with one of your coworkers, that you're just, hey man, where is he at? You maybe I can say something that will help him. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there was a coworker that, like, me and him would just talk about, like, just things, like, just talk about anything. And I feel like, and I was trying to help him out, like, by speaking the truth. And he started reading, like, he started actually, like, sending me pictures of. But then I was so excited, like, I was actually like, I even hugged him the next day. I was like, man, like, I'm so proud, like, dude, like, this is good. But lately, like, he just hasn't been interested. I think he's holding, like, because his situation right now with his family is kind of like all like twisted, and like, and then he has his ex-girlfriend, like, he's having problems with her and stuff like that. And I don't even know what his situation is, but like where he's at right now, right? Because he doesn't want to share. So he's rejecting the truth. And I'm telling him, like, hey, like, I sent him, even like on this past Thanksgiving, I sent him James. I don't remember exactly what I sent him, but it was James, I think 2 and something. And he didn't text me all day till, like, I was already about to go to sleep. He put just, oh, happy Thanksgiving, and he didn't even like read it, or even commented on that. And I'm just like, you know what? Just let it be right now. Maybe it's not his time, because I mean, it took me forever.
Yeah, and what we need to remember is, like, it's going to be God's Holy Spirit who's going to nudge them, or at the right time give them that truth, that encouragement. Kind of like with you, it took time, but when you were there, the Spirit helped you and encouraged you.
Yeah.
But you were ready at that point.
Yeah. Which is, it's just his situation. I just hope he knows that, like, when he's ready, I'll be willing to, like, I'm still trying to help him out, but I'll be willing to, like, share a bunch of my knowledge with him, like, about the treasures within the Bible, right? I mean, to this day, I'm still learning, but just, like, trying to help him understand, because right now he's just really doing is just venting. He's just venting how he just kind of hates the world. He's like, if God designed us, he's like, why do we have to work every day? I'm like, yeah, I mean,
Been there, done that.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, like, I've been here like for a long time. Like, like, just look at it in the big picture. Like, we're okay. You know, we're not physically hurt or missing a limb or anything like that.
Yeah, and that's something, when we lose perspective and we don't understand God and how He created us, then everything gets twisted. Because in actuality, work can be very satisfying. God created us to work. Because when I work, let's say doing my lawn, if I do my lawn and it looks really good, it's like there's a satisfaction about it, just about any work. But because when we lose perspective and we don't understand, it becomes a drudgery. It becomes something that just we hate. we can't get any satisfaction of it because that's how lost we are. But when we learn and grow, it's like, man, I want to work.
Yeah.
I want to achieve some things.
Yeah, you learn
There's
things,
motivation. I'm accomplishing some things, and it's very, very different.
Yeah.
But when we're lost, like he's experiencing your friend, it's like, why do you even have to work? It's like,
Exactly.
yeah, and the hatred for people. You know, at one point you were saying you hated everyone, even if you didn't know them, you hated them. You know, but now with the right perspective, it's like you want to meet people, you want to communicate what you're learning. What a difference, no?
Yeah, there's a big difference, and there's no words to it because it's not like. I mean, I feel like if I could do it, I mean, everybody could do it, right?
Right.
It takes time.
Yes.
And that's something that I struggle to this very day. Everything takes time.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm excited, man, for what's going to happen as you continue this journey, walking with God, learning the scriptures, developing relationship with people. It's exciting, man, because just hearing of your experiences, your mom throwing you out, your dad not wanting you. I mean, my goodness. And then the drugs, your parents, the fighting, man. And I suspect there's more.
No, yes.
I mean, if your parents fought all the time, I suspect that at some point your mom wanted to give up in life. If not, you know, because what kind of life is that? You know, so, and if you experience her hopelessness, you know, and you experience, okay, I'm her son. What am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do. I mean, the lostness. And at some point, maybe having all that weight on your shoulders without knowing it.
Yeah. And everybody told me that you have, like, everybody kept saying, like, and I just hated it when people would tell me, so, like, you have so much weight on your shoulders, you don't, like, and I didn't even, like, exactly how you said, like, and I didn't even, like, realize that I did. And it would just, like, feel like I'm trying to, like, when I was trying to move forward, like, something was holding me back that wanted to keep me there. And until, like, now I finally feel free. But, I mean, there's still the struggles every day, right?
Well, sure.
But, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we live in this world, and it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, but...
So now you have hope, and you have guidance. You're reading the scriptures. You're getting more and more understanding. There's people that you're turning to for help, for questions. There's people that you're trying to reach, that you're trying to help, right? So you have these different relationships. And I think, you know, everyone needs those relationships where certain people are going to guide us. They're more like mentors. Other people are more like peers that we share our lives, right? And other people are like some people that you're trying to help.
Yeah.
You know, we really need all those three different types of relationships. And it sounds like this. This is what you have now.
Yeah.
This is great. This is great. And how old are you, Edgar?
21.
21. You've lived 3 lifetimes already.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Well, I want to thank you so much for willing to come on to Take Heart and share your life, Edgar. I really appreciate that. And so at some point, maybe we'll do it again.
I mean, yeah, it was
Thanks.
my pleasure.
Thanks.
Take heart, my friend. We'll go together this uncertain road that lies ahead. Our faithful God